Hey everybody, it's Brittany Cooley. So today I am finally participating in Fearless Friday. It's something that my friend Jamie does and started and created, and I've always been like, well, I do fearless things every day. I don't need this. Doesn't pertain to me, but it does. So I am doing Fearless Friday, and I'm going to share part of my story with you that a lot of you don't know. And it's really hard for me to talk about because I don't like to revisit this place, but I feel as though that I need to do this for healing and for growth, and for those of you that this is going to help, hopefully. So I've been very open about my story, and if you have clicked on this video, it's because you want to know what this is. You've seen the picture of my scar from my surgery in 2012. Most people know that I attempted to commit suicide in 2012. And that's what my scar is from. But most people don't know what it's from. They know it's from emergency surgery, but they don't know the story and what actually happened that day. So I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to tell you that this is not easy for me to talk about. This is not scripted. I'm just saying it as it's coming to me, and I want you to know that if this is kind of morbid, and if you're uncomfortable or you have little ears around you, you might not want to watch this video because I'm just going to tell you what happened, and it's not necessarily something that, obviously nothing in this nature or of this content is pleasant to talk about or good to hear, but it's pretty deep. So without further ado, I'll tell you. So I had been struggling with who I am, my sexuality. I had fallen in love with a girl, and I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought that was weird. I was afraid of what my family was going to think. I was afraid of, I had a boyfriend at the time, and that was awkward, you know. But I knew this is who I was, and she made me happy, and I loved her, and I wanted to be with her, and I was so torn up and just very, very at loss because I didn't know what to do. I was afraid. I grew up in a small town, so there's like four lesbians, and like that's just not something that is common. Not that it's nobody gets stakes burned, you don't get crosses burned in your yard or anything like that, and after everything happened, like everything was like fine. They're like, whatever, Brittany, you're awesome. But I was very afraid to come out with that, and to make that huge life transition, because of identifying yourself as one person your whole life, and then just realizing this different side of you. It was really hard. And it was hard to grasp, and especially with everything else that was going on in my life. Severe anxiety, severe depression over just my life had been difficult. And so I just had all kinds of things going on in my head, and I was in a job that I thought that I was meant to do, and I couldn't do it. It was too hard for me. I went to school for it. I felt like that was my calling and my passion, and I realized that it wasn't. And so that devastation, along with my sexuality, along with everything, was just crumbling. Everything was it just got so dark. And so 3 days before my attempt, I went into the emergency room, and I was like, there's something wrong with me. I don't know what it is, but I can't breathe. I can't sleep. I'm crying all the time. I need help. And they sent me home and checked my vitals. They sent me home with like Xanax. Just calm me down, which it did. It calmed me down. But then once it wore off, I was just feeling really uncomfortable again. I wasn't going to work. I wasn't eating. When I would eat, I would binge eat. I would eat like tons of just gross food and then throw it up. Like I was just not okay. And all of this, I still had a forefront. I had a facade of myself, like everything was fine, even though I knew I wasn't, and I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't want to tell anyone. I was afraid. I didn't want to tell, I couldn't tell my boyfriend because that's scary, and I couldn't tell my dad, and I just felt like I couldn't tell anyone, and I felt like I couldn't talk, and I felt like I just felt like there was no way out of this, and all of the sorrows from my life just overtook me, and I just, everything just kept replaying. It's like I was watching my life on replay over and over in my head, and it wouldn't stop. And just after one trauma after another. It's stuff that I never dealt with. I'm the kind of person that just puts up brick walls and doesn't ever do anything with it. I just get over it and move on. And I put up a wall and I go through. I never actually dealt with anything that I've actually experienced through my childhood, through my mom dying, through anything. And it all just kind of came to a head when I had this like crisis. Um, So I was the epitome of what you see on the movies. Like I was rocking and I was sobbing and I didn't have clear thoughts and I just didn't know what to do. And then when you get to a dark place like that, you come to a realization and you come to a decision. It's a decision. You decide that you're done, and you plan. You make a plan and you figure out what you're going to do, and this calming peace comes over you because you've made a decision. You finally have clarity, and you know it's going to be over. And so I kind of perked up and I was like, well, it'll be over soon. I wasn't really exactly, I didn't make out a specific plan to do what happened. It just kind of came to me. Um, I didn't go to work for those 3 days. The day before, I was just a mess. I was sleeping and I was just taking Ativan and sleeping and taking Ativan or Xanax and sleeping. And I was just trying to keep myself calm until I had the courage to go through with what I needed to do, what I thought I needed to do. So the day on July 17th, 2012, my boyfriend got up and he went to work. And I was like, I can't go to work. We work together at the same agency. And I knew that that was the day. I was like, I'm done. My life is hard. My light was out. There was nothing anybody could do at that point, unless they literally like was there sitting with me and like not letting me do anything. And I wasn't thinking about what other people were the impact I was gonna have on other people, because I know people loved me. I had a lot of friends. I had family. I knew they loved me, but I wasn't thinking about them. I was thinking about myself. I was being selfish. I was thinking about my own internal anguish and my own confusion and my own heartbreak. And I'm the kind of person that's really emotional, and I have a big heart. And when it breaks, it really breaks. And it was broken, and I didn't know how to fix it. I felt like a failure. I felt like my whole life was just a bunch of anguish and pain, and it was for nothing. And I just wanted it to be over. I just wanted to see my mom again. I just wanted to be happy. I just wanted to be at peace. I wanted to wake up somewhere else. I would dream of just waking up and being a different person, because I just was sick and tired of being what I was, and I didn't know what that was, and it was awful. So that day he he got up and he went to work, and I, continued my crying and sobbing, and so I walked to my kitchen. I had a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartment. And I walked into the kitchen, and I never wanted to take pills because I always was afraid that, like, I don't know, for some reason I was afraid of pills, but I wasn't afraid of what it was going to do. Sick. I wanted something immediate, and I didn't have access to firearms, which was good. Thankful for that. But I went to the kitchen, and I opened the drawer, the silverware drawer where the knives were. And I got one of the new really sharp ceramic knives for Christmas. And it like cut through, like literally like you touch it and it like cuts you like really sharp. And I was like, well, this will do it. And so I had the knife in my right hand, and I paced the kitchen back and forth for probably, I don't know how long, probably an hour or 2 hours, a long time. And then I just wanted it to be over. So I stuck that knife in my stomach. And I don't really remember doing it. I just remember pulling it out. And nothing. I didn't feel any pain. It didn't hurt. I was just numb. I was completely numb. I can't explain it. And so I dropped the knife and it fell to the floor, and blood everywhere. I mean, it wasn't, I'm sorry that this is deep, but you knew going into this that it was going to be. So there's a pile of blood on the floor, and I just kind of collapsed, not really in it, but next to it. And I just shut my eyes, and I was hoping it was going to be over. My phone was in my pocket. I had an iPhone 4, and it was in my pocket, and I felt it vibrating. So, and for some reason, I just had this moment of panic, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I just lay here and bleed out like this? I can't do this. So I picked up my phone, and I had a text message from somebody, and then I had a text message from my boyfriend. So I called him, and I said, "You need to come home. Something's wrong," and I hung up. And so we worked very close to where we lived. So he was home in 3 seconds, 3 minutes, and ran up the stairs, and he didn't know what to do. He was like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" And I was just like, I was just waiting to die. I was just like, I want to go. I'm done. And from there, I started to lose like a little bit of consciousness, I think. And I remember the police breaking down the door. And I knew the officers because it's a small town. Like I knew them when they walked in, and I was just like, "Oh my God, this is awful. Like, just make it stop, make it go away." So they were asking me questions and stuff, and my boyfriend got pulled aside and was questioned because they thought he did it, and I was just like, "This is like, it just needs to be over now. Please, just let it be over. I just want to shut my eyes and just not wake up. This is awful." I still didn't feel anything. I felt nothing, and so they got me on the stretcher, and the ambulance came, and I remember the lights flashing in the ambulance a little bit, but I was in and out. They were asking me questions, and I was just not there anymore. So they wheeled me into the emergency room. It was like a 16-mile drive. And they wheeled me into the emergency room, and there was a team of doctors, and they were cutting my clothes off, and it was like this huge thing. And I'm just like, "Please don't let me survive this. I don't want to do this anymore." And one of the doctors asked me, he said, "Is there anybody we can call for you?" And that moment, I was like, "Oh my God, my dad." And everything that I ever had to live for kind of came to my mind, like immediately, like the forefront, like my family, my father, like just my friends, everything, like everything surfaced. Like I had forgotten all of that, and it just resurfaced. And I was like, "Please call my dad and tell him I'm so sorry." And they were prepping me for surgery and everything, and they had the mask, and they were putting the mask over my face to, for the anesthesia, because they had to do an exploratory laparotomy to make sure that I didn't damage anything, or to see what I damaged to fix it. And and in that moment I remember praying, and I've struggled with religion because my mom was very religious, and I feel like I just struggled with it. But that day I prayed, and I was like, "Please don't let me die. I can't do that to my dad. Like, this poor man that has done everything for me." And I was like, "Please, like, I cannot die. Like, I have to live." And then in that moment, everything went dark, and I was under anesthesia. So that night I woke up in the ICU, and there was tubes everywhere. I was like, tubes, and I had 26 staples in my stomach. I had an epidural stuffed in my back, and I was in a lot of pain at that point. I had so many pain meds in me, and I had my epidural to like numb everything, but I was just in anguish, and I remember a nurse sitting next to me, and I wish I knew who she was. I wish I knew her name, but she was sitting next to me, and I was just like, "Don't let me die. You need to do your job and not let me die. Please don't let me die. Am I gonna live? Like, I need to live through this, because I need to live through this. This is a mistake." And she just reassured me, God bless her, because I'm sure she had more patients. It's the ICU floor. I know that nurses don't have an easy job. They don't have time to sit and be a therapist. I know that. But this nurse sat with me the whole night and just touched my face and said that everything was going to be okay, and I was going to live, and it was going to hurt, and it was going to suck for a while, but I was going to be okay. And then I drifted off to sleep, and I saw my mom in my dreams, or she came to me. I don't know which, but I saw her that night, and she said, "You can't leave yet. It's not your time. You are going to do really great things with your life, and you need to live." So when I woke up that next day, and it was just all, my family, my dad came, and I was just a mess, and I was in and out because of all the pain meds. But from that day, when I opened my eyes after I saw her, I was like, I have to get my shit together. I have to get my shit together, and I have to live, and I have to do awesome shit with my life, because this is not a way to live. And I need to be happy, and I need to do me. And so from that day forward, I stopped giving a single shit what people thought about me, and I just did what I wanted to do and what made me happy. So I I had to go through, I was cleared medically, and then I was put on the psychiatric unit for 6 days. After that, I was in outpatient therapy for 2 weeks, intense outpatient therapy for like 6 days a week for 2 weeks straight. And then I was like, all right, I'm healing, and I'm working through my shit. And I was given the diagnosis of major depressive disorder. And I was like, this is not like me. Like I'm gonna, your biggest setback is your setback is your biggest comeback. So I was gonna make that so. So I quit my job that was making me miserable. I moved in with my girlfriend, and I started to rebuild. Um, so, in sharing this with you, I'm not trying to get your pity. I'm more doing this for me because it's healing, and also to answer questions about what my scars from. A lot of people just think that I took a bunch of pills and they had to cut me open and dig them out or something, but that's really what happened. So happy Fearless Friday. And I want to make it very clear that, you know, I had a great support system. I just didn't use it. I was emotionally bottling everything into the point where I was, it damaged me to the point where I almost did not survive it. So if I can leave you with anything today, it's this. If you have any problems, whatever they are, whether they're big or small, deal with them, address them, dig them up, and do that uncomfortable stuff that makes you like want to like clam up and run away from it. Like, you need to do that stuff because that is what's going to keep you well and make you a better person. Don't hold it in. You need to talk to somebody. If you need a therapist, get a therapist. If you need medication, get medication. It's okay. Like 90% of America's on medication. There's nothing wrong with it. And so I just wanted to share that with you because it's never too late, and there's always hope, and that is never ever needs to be an option because you can't be replaced. I can't be replaced. And I'm not being conceited when I say this, but I mean the world to my dad, and I know that if that happened that day, he would have never been the same. And I know, okay, I'm sure that he still to this day worries about me. But I'm okay because I survived for a reason, and now I'm rebuilding my life and doing things that truly make me happy. So do what makes you happy and don't give a shit who thinks what about you. It doesn't matter. As long as you're happy and you're healthy and you're well, that's all that matters. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching and supporting my journey. And if you ever need anything, just please reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. So have a really good day and happy Fearless Friday.